All right, Stephen Goudeau. Stephen Goudeau the Great, as we like to say over at Ford Fashion Group. We're so excited to be talking to you today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, a lot of us know who you are, but just for the very few who don't know who you are, tell me about Stephen Goudeau, your brand, and kind of how you um, have come to be within Dallas.
Well, Stephen Goudeau is a brand I created. I've had it for over 10 years now. Originally, it was called Studio Six Sense, but I did transition into a brand called Stephen Goudeau. With the brand being named after me, I felt like it was more powerful when it is named after the person who actually, created it and the visionary behind it. A lot of times, and I know you hear this a lot, I feel like my story inspires a lot because when the brand first started as Studio Six Sense, I wasn't very comfortable letting people know that I was a man of color
Mm.
designing luxury fashion design. So that's the reason why I never said my name and who the designer was years before. So I sat down and I spoke with my team and my team actually spoke with me and they were the one who actually pushed me to do it. They were like, "Well, Steven, your name is getting way more buzz than the brand. We should look into changing your name." So I sat down for a while, like a break in between, like 2 years, and I said, "You know what? This decision isn't just about me anymore. I have a team behind me, and they're rooting for me. So I will change the name of the brand." But a little secret that I tell everybody, and I know people probably wonder, well, why is his name Stephen with a V, and my brand is PH, and that's because I wanted to separate my identity from the brand, and I wanted my brand to have its own story, and I still remain Stephen. So when you do see me, with family, when you do see me, just out or just being the regular Stephen, that's the Stephen that with the V, but the PH is the creator behind this brand that you see.
Wow, wow, I had no idea. So this has been sort of
Yeah.
a transformation, but do you feel like the purpose that you originally started with Sixth Sense is kind of the same, or did you have kind of a real visionary change over when you changed the name?
Well, the story behind the Sixth Sense, and that's why you do see my regular name. My personal page is God of the Six.
Mm-hmm.
Six. Going through when I first wanted to start a brand, I got six because I think you're blessed with five senses. Well, you do have five senses, but I
Mm-hmm.
think your sixth sense is going to be your blessing. So I felt like the sixth sense was, my sense to, in fashion, in style, and just being an artist, a creative. I think that was my sixth sense, and that was a very important, thing to me. So that's why I actually kept that name six. It always resonates with me, and also my spiritual number is the number six.
Mm.
So I do resonate with that, a lot. So.
Very cool. So did I hear through the grapevine that you actually had another career as well on top
Yeah,
of fashion? Okay.
yeah, the
Tell
great.
me about that and how you ended up being able to kind of segue into this passion that you're in now.
So, of course, when you first start a brand, it doesn't pay the bills, of course.
Hmm.
So, you just, go through, you have to have something to support the brand. So, I worked for AT&T for over 17 years. I started on the telephones and, I grew into the corporate world when I actually got to, I was an analyst. So I was an analyst with AT&T for well over, I would say almost 10 years. And I decided to, part ways with AT&T. I'm very thankful for AT&T. I learned a lot in the business aspect of it as far as work-life balance, knowing how to be a professional. So a lot of that I did apply to my business. And also AT&T was very supportive of my brand. Like they would highlight me, acknowledge me when things came up. I know when we had the HBO Max and AT&T merge, it
Hmm.
was actually I addressed one of the judges on the show Legendary, and that's when everybody was like, God, this guy works for
Yes.
AT&T. So they gave me a huge shout out. And I was just I appreciate AT&T for everything they taught me throughout the 17 years, but I just felt like I wasn't giving the brand the attention that it needed. I was giving AT&T a lot of attention, of course, because it is my job. And I was just thinking, like, I'm going to work and making someone else richer, and
Hmm.
and I was denying my brand and not giving it the attention it need. That's my child. That's my baby. So I decided to part ways in April. I think it was the best decision I made, and definitely, yeah, I'm here now. full-time
Yes.
fashion, Stephen Goudeau. And I think it serves as a purpose to show a lot of people who are up and coming that, when you get into fashion or when you get into a brand, I can tell you one thing, fashion, if I was doing this for money, I would have been quit. I could have told you
Mm-hmm.
that because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come automatically. So you do learn, you have trials and tribulations, but I am thankful for where I'm at, and where we're going. And I just look forward to the future on where Stephen Godot is going global.
Yes, yes, global. So that's very interesting. I do like to encourage people, as you're trying to build that foundation financially, to start a business, specifically a fashion business, which is so much more expensive than
Right.
most other businesses. To just take advantage of soaking up all of that knowledge, even if it's not a direct, you're not directly a fashion designer in the corporate world or whatever, you can
Yeah.
still take so much knowledge of just,
Yeah, and apply and
how
definitely
to
apply.
show up.
Yeah, and apply
Mm-hmm.
it to your brand. And,
Yeah.
you be on time for work. You can be on time for your business. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it's very important to let up and coming designers and people who just start a brand that you don't learn how to balance a dream and a job until your dream becomes your job.
Right.
That's what I did. So I did decide to bet on myself last year, and here I
Yes, I love that. I love that. Very inspirational. There's so many,
am.
so many designers out there that, are still trying to figure out when is that time for me to transition. And
You
I
know,
think
you
that's
I
a
don't
good
think
kind
there.
of thing to think about.
I don't even think there is a certain time. It's just you. When it might not be, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be the smartest decision, but it might not make sense at first. But
Hmm.
at the end of it all, you just keep applying, just stay focused and just keep going. And it's gonna make sense eventually. It's gonna make sense.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about scaling. So you have a couple lines of it. So first of all, walk people through the different lines that Stephen Godot sits in and kind of how they're differentiated and why you decided to kind of go into these multiple I guess lines.
Well, the Stephen Godot brand is how can I say this? A lot of people think that Stephen Godot is just when it first came out, they thought it was just for women, but
Uh-huh.
it really isn't. And everybody asks, who is the Stephen Godot woman? And, who is the Stephen Godot man? Well, the Stephen Godot woman is me, the man that you're talking to.
Hmm.
Basically, it's the lifestyle ready to wear, and I say that as my tagline: a lifestyle, a capital STYLE, ready to wear. I feel like every day, every time you put something on, you should act like you're on the runway. I don't care if it's anything from joggers to a trench coat. Maybe I want to do a fur coat and some jeans and a t-shirt, and I'm going to CVS to get some milk. Or, I just feel like you should feel comfortable and powerful in everything you walk in. You walk in your purpose. Like I can go to the market right now, and I have on a a sweatsuit, and like say it's cold outside. I want a
Hmm.
fur on. That's how I'm feeling today, and it's the person that's worked. They're successful. They're powerful. They own attention whenever they walk in the room. I don't care where you are. Your aura, your style. And I always think that in style, I think a person should wear their clothes. I don't think the clothes should wear the person. And I always say that because people can look uncomfortable. A lot of people do too much when they do style. So I
Hmm.
feel like the Stephen Godot client, both male and female, is that person who owns what they're wearing and owns the room when they walk in and just have it's a lifestyle ready to wear.
Yes. Yes. So,
But
but
to go back to it, so
mhm,
Stephen Godot,
mhm,
I have Stephen Godot Home, which is the male line. I
mhm,
have the Stephen Godot Bridal, of course, that specializes in bridal, of course, and also I have the signature. What a signature is where the things that mostly have like the logo, the name, and so forth, and those are like that can be like your everyday apparel, where it's a pair of sweats, where it's a pair of joggers, where it's a pair of leggings, or a pair of slides. I call that the signature line. And of course, you have Stephen Godot Atelier, where everything's bespoke and you meet with me on a one-on-one consultation to bring your dream to life.
mhm. Okay, so that's perfect. So did you find so you kind of have answered that. So you're kind of seeing this as, I mean, it is a lifestyle, so it encompasses all of these different,
Correct.
avenues of life, and of course, uh, from a branding perspective, you maintain. that common thread throughout everything that you do.
Right. It's like, you want Stephen, I want my Stephen Goudeau client to wake up in Stephen Goudeau, go work out in Stephen Goudeau, go to
Hmm.
work in Stephen Goudeau, go have a cocktail in Stephen Goudeau, go on a date, go to the gala. I want you to travel, to, the beach in Stephen Goudeau and get married in Stephen Goudeau.
Uh-huh.
You may even die in Stephen Goudeau. Everything is just, it's a lifestyle ready to wear. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. I just want it to be a way of life that a person, feels like I can go and I can get like you can go get a yoga set and go work out in a Stephen Goudeau signature, you know,
Hmm.
uh, yoga set. So I just wanted to cover all walks of life, almost like a Ralph Lauren brand. You know how Ralph Lauren
Hmm.
covers everything. I love everything about Ralph Lauren, but he still remains luxurious and he still remains timeless and classic. You never see Ralph Lauren design anything trend, and that's what I make sure I focus on when I do architect or your build my certain things. So I want you to fall in love with the piece that you brought today. 10 years from now, I want you to say
Hmm.
that's still that Stephen Goudeau, gown I brought. That's still that Stephen Goudeau blazer. It's still it's still quality. It still looks good and goes with anything.
Hmm. So on that note, so let's talk about trends and inspiration. So where do you find the most inspiration in designing?
So that comes from several different places. I tell this, every time, and they love when I say this. My parents, my mom and my dad. So my mom and dad really inspire a lot of my I guess my design aesthetic. So my dad was always a very very fashionable guy. He was just the one that was kind of like out of the box, and he would rock things that didn't make sense to a lot of people.
Mm,
And I take that, and also I take what my mom. My mom was so like very timeless, structured. She had structured blazers, and she had prints, and that basically remained timeless. And I just tag those two together, and I build a brand. I think that is a very big story behind my brand. So I do appreciate them. They are my best friends, and I just think that is, one of the number one things that do inspire my brain. Another thing that inspires me, I have a huge, diverse playlist. I listen to music a lot. It's all over the place. So I think when music talks to me, I get inspired. I'll just sit there and listen to it. And I'll go to one of my dress forums and I'll just start, building off my playlist or, whatever is inspired. I tell anybody, I'll share my playlist with anybody because people love to hear like what my mind is. And, it can
mhm,
go anything from Mozart, it can go anything from Coldplay, it can go to Beyonce, it can go to Kanye, it can go to Lil Boosie. I mean, you just
mhm,
never know. Everything is just like it's a combination. That's why I like my mind. I think that gives the artist kind of a story to tell on who they are, as a person. Because I can't, I'm not just one, just in one lane. I am there, but it still all makes sense at the end.
mhm. And I
Mhm.
think that's also where naming the brand Stephen Godot also makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of all encompassing of, you coming, from, your parents and like their aesthetic and then your internal state of mind and designing it makes sense,
And I also believe that, people buy from who they love. And I think it's
Hmm.
important for people to, they appreciate the story way more when they hear where the creator, came from and where these things come from. They be like, oh, I can't relate to that. And I don't see competition. And I know a lot of people say, yo, who is your competition?
Hmm.
I don't see competition because I think every brand, every creator has their own story, and I think that's what makes them significant. Like I love Tom Ford. I love the whole brand about Tom Ford. But I think if you had Tom Ford black dress, you had a Stephen Goudeau black dress, you had a Versace black dress. I just know my client is going to come to the Stephen Goudeau dress. I mean, Tom Ford has his client. Versace has their client. But I think people fall in love with the brand and the story behind the brand. I think that is what makes a brand successful.
Hmm. Yeah, so you have so many loyalists that we see that were Stephen Godot. Tell me, is there anyone I guess if if a potential client were to approach Stephen Godot's atelier, what does that process look like to work with them?
So what it is, basically, of course, we set up a consultation. Um, we get the outline of like, what's your vision, what's your story, what's your likes, what's your dislikes, what's your, colors. You just want to get a feel of the client and who they are. Just have a conversation. Our consultations last in 30 minutes we say, but it could go over if you're, having a good conversation, a good time.
Hmm.
And when usually within the first 5 minutes, I kind of figure out who the client is and what they, or what they like. So I try my best to, again, I never want the garment to wear the client. I would never put anything on anybody that makes them look uncomfortable because at the end of the day, you're representing my brand and I am, representing you.
Hmm.
So I just get into the mind of the person. I see their likes and their dislikes. And basically, I just create a sketch. They approve the sketch. And once we do that, we go over the colors, the fabrics, and so forth. And we just get to building. And, we have a couple of fittings. Once we get the perfect fit, there you go.
Great. So are you guys reaching out to some of these people, or are they mostly approaching you? Like, do you have sort of a goal in mind of, dressing particular
Well,
celebrities?
when it comes to atelier, usually brides, a lot of grooms, and clients they come to us for special occasions. But of
Mhm.
course, there are a few. I'm not the celebrity person. When celebrities do come to us, of course we are grateful and we loved it, but that's not our focus because we never. A lot of people they get intimidated by the brand because a lot of people think I just dress people of a certain class of
Hmm.
money and celebrities. So he only dress celebrities and rich people. Well, no, that's not the case. Like I said, I have the different lines and I have the different. I'm not saying
Right.
everybody's going to buy a couture gown or atelier gown every day,
Hmm.
but of course they still might have the yoga set. They might have a suit that's
Right.
in their closet, and they might have that dress that okay, I wear this one time. 8 years from now, I'm not gonna wear this again. Now, well, I can wear it again, but it's not all about like I just don't want people to think I just do red carpet and I just do bridal gowns and I just do multi-thousand-dollar gowns. It's a whole brand. It's a whole again lifestyle ready to wear. But usually, yeah, the celebrities they do reach out, to us, and very grateful of everyone from Tabitha Brown, Sheets Warren, Tyra Banks, Shanti. Did some members of Destiny's Child. We still got to get Beyonce. She's on our list, of course. And who else have I dressed? We did Angela Bassett way back when I started. Um, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of celebrity clients that I've dressed. I just can't, think of them all at once. But of course, it's not the focus. I'm always grateful when I do dress celebrities. But yeah, I definitely, but I love to see it on the big screen, the spotlights, and yeah,
Yeah, and I love that too, that you do have the different lines and the different price points
yeah,
to accommodate so that you can see it, like you said, going over to Tom Thumb.
yeah.
You might see Stephen Goudeau, on an errand as well as on the red carpet. So,
Yeah, and also it's like, and me, I never was the type of person that like names and logos and monograms. But I did hear a few of my clients say, "Well, Stephen, they say I will tell you this: I do not wear logos. I do not wear, names. But it's something about your logo. It's something about your name on a piece of an article of clothing. It's just different." And they, Lady J, she is the one who actually told me that. She said, "Stephen, I never wear logos." But she said, "Your brand," she said, it's class all the way. And she said, "I love it." And that's what made me feel good. So that's why when you see me stuff out, I do wear a lot of my monogram because I'm not a name person, but it is my brand and I do wear it sometimes. But I tone it down. I wear it, I dress it up, I dress it down. I love it though. I love it.
yes, yes, and it's very recognizable, and when we see it, we know it's quality. We know that it's good. So
Thank you.
it
Thank
does
you.
its job,
Yes, thank you.
basically. Yes, yes. So tell me, so obviously these are your babies, but the amount of lines that you have, I'm sure you're designing a lot. So what does your team look like? How do you kind of, um, you're kind of creative director, how do you also release some of this, for the team to help you to manage
I
all that
will.
you're doing?
We have a very close knit team. Well, number one, my one of my team members, well, two of them, Chantel and Malia, they have been with me since the beginning of time, so they know the journey, they know the struggle that I've been through, and I'm very grateful for them. So they know the brand like the back of the hand. They run the business better than me. Sometimes they just let me be creative, and they run the business, and I trust them with it. I also have two other people who handle. One is finance, and of course, Bliss, she's my publicist and they all, they have my back, and they all, I call them my good girls because they're all, they're all the girls and they handle what I need to get done. And, I'm just happy to grow with them. I'm happy that they see my brand and I appreciate them dearly. Um, and I just say, thank you guys for holding on. And, wherever I go, you're going.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
also my family is a big support. My mom and dad, like they love to brag on me. Back at home in Shreveport, Louisiana, when people see the last name Goudeau, they be like, John Stephen Goudeau. He's like, yeah, and they just get happy and proud. And I'm glad I can make them proud.
Yes, yes. Yeah, but it is important to kind of talk to people about, because you have so many solopreneurs or so many people doing this,
Yeah, and
on
shout
their
out,
own, but you really do, at
yeah,
some point you require
a team.
leading a team to be
Yeah.
able to grow.
And I shout out to anybody who is doing everything by themselves. I
Hmm.
think that's amazing. But I do, at the end of the day, once you do get into a certain level, you do need that support system behind you. So, and I really appreciate my team.
Yes, yeah. You have a bomb team. They are on it.
Thank you. Thank you. I got to get on it
Bliss,
sometime.
Bliss is on it.
Yeah, blessings. Yeah, she keeps me in line. She does.
Yes,
She
yes.
didn't want to say. She said, "You got to interview in 2 minutes. Get on." I said, "Okay, I'm on this. I'm on this."
Yes. So tell me about, I know that you just had, I think you had a show, what, this past weekend?
No, actually, have Maison de Godot. I have the fourth installment this Saturday on the
Oh, this
21st.
weekend.
Yes, this Saturday.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes. I
Okay.
just actually dropped the style guide on, what to wear because a lot of people say, "Well, Stephen, what do I wear?" So I
Yes.
did a style guide. I just dropped it right before I got on the call with you. Just it's in the Maison de Godot. It's basically a show. I never thought it would be where it is now. It originally was supposed to start as like me being introduced to the Dallas area because a
Hmm.
lot of people still didn't know who I was. So what I wanted to do was I really wanted to get, a commentator to like sit on the stage and just have a few gowns, just walk across, the stage. And, BB, who is with the Tower Club, shout out to BB, he's the general manager of the Tower Club. He's like, I want to do a fashion show. I want to do a fashion show. I
Hmm.
said, BB, I really don't like doing fashion shows, but I said, okay, we can do it. I said, but as long as we get to have it our way. So what I was inspired to do, I just look at the, different fashion shows. Everybody has a fashion show, which is nothing wrong. But I want people to actually have an experience. So that's why I call my show an actual exhibition and a viewing. And basically, what I do, I set it up to where you have a cocktail hour where you can view different pieces that I've done over the years of my career, so you can appreciate where I was and where
Hmm.
I'm at and where I'm going. So it's a small cocktail mixer at the beginning of the beginning of the exhibition, and everybody get to mingle, have drinks, hors d'oeuvres, and listen to nice music and vibes. And you just walk around almost like you're at a museum and you're admiring the work around. And then we lead that into the seating of the for the show. I call it a viewing, where everyone sits down and you hear great music by violinists, and it's just nice. I wanted to bring Paris to Dallas, if that makes
Mm.
sense. I wanted to bring that whole Paris aesthetic. I wanted
Yes.
people to enjoy and engage, and hopefully I'll see you there this Saturday if you're available. I would love
Yeah.
for you to come and experience. And this is the fourth installment, so that's why it's Maison de Godot, and it's the fourth. And
Mm.
Maison de Godot is the House of Godot. I show a collection, not just seasons. I show everything that the brand has to offer. So you know how you just asked about all the different layers of Stephen Godot. It's basically all incorporated in that show, and you get to see the diversity. I might mix, some Stephen Godot signature with some couture, just showing you ways that you can switch it up and
I
do it. So
love
I'm very
that.
excited about this. This is going to be one of my biggest shows. I think we're at like almost 45, 47 looks this year. So I'm very excited about that. Can't wait to
I
show the
love
world.
that. And I love the idea of the retrospective so you can kind of see, leading up to the
Yeah.
viewing, like
Uh-huh.
like where everything has been. Because, design
Yeah,
evolves
it
and
does.
you as a designer evolves. So it's very cool to kind of see your retrospective before going into the viewing.
I'm thinking about at this exhibit. I'm thinking about actually having the first dress that I ever designed in 1999. So I might make
Yes.
an appearance with that. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that is amazing. So after the show, so basically, with the show, is it something where you can basically buy now? So when you see it, it's ready to purchase, or do you have sort of a waiting period before things
So
are
a
on
lot.
sale?
So some of the items that will be available, that's mostly going to be the signature pieces.
Hmm.
But what I am going to do, we're going to have a QR code where you can actually, go straight to it. Like once it walks down the runway, you can go look at the items again on the site, and you can put in an inquiry for it. Because a lot of the pieces, of course, are bespoke. It might,
Mm.
you make time to make. I don't like to mass produce a lot of my. Well, I don't like to mass produce most of my items
Yes.
because you don't want it going all over the place, and a lot of people like to have that, distinct, just look, the one-on-ones, and it just gives the overall perspective of the quality of the brand and just being unique, being that one of one. So
Hmm.
I'm definitely excited to see, the response that I get because a lot of pieces that you might see in the show, it might be 10 or 12 years old, but guess
Hmm.
what? It's timeless and it'll never go out of style. And
Yes.
so that's why I'm glad to do it this year the way I'm doing. Instead of doing a new collection, I'm just going to do well, I'm going to have some new pieces in there. But I am going to have a lot of pieces that people have not seen that I've just had in my sample class. And I say, hey, it's
Ah.
just basically it's going to tell the story. You're going to see the flow of the story and
Hmm.
where it goes. So I'm excited about
Gosh, that is exciting.
it.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is very exciting. And I know for sure that um, it's gonna be a hot ticket.
Yeah.
So if it's this Saturday, we don't have too many days left. So
We got 4 days left. It's gonna be yes, it's here on Saturday. The countdown begins.
yes, yes. Um, all right. So anything beyond that is this sort of kind of your basically how many shows do you do a year? Is this something that you do
Well,
multiple times a year? Or is this like a
well, well, Maison de Godot, that's my baby. That's my show. I do that once a year. If I'm invited to do a show, I usually do shows if it is a benefit or if it does make sense on, what I'm doing the brand, as long as it's going in alliance with what I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to,
Mhm.
you know, put out there, it works. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about returning back to New York Fashion Week, but it really is up in the air because I've already, done it.
Mhm.
And I did one well, not one, I've done multiple in the past, but I had my own solo show on in 2022 on 9/11 in New York in Times Square. And I just want to mark that off my list. So my next goal is I do want to go overseas. I do want to show in Paris. I do want to show
Yes.
in London. Because I think, not saying that the US doesn't appreciate fashion, but I think overseas, of course, we do know that it's appreciated so much more. I think when you walk in the streets of Paris and London, people are dressed up like, and when I say dress up, I mean it's not even dressing up, but they would be like, "Oh, this is casual," and that's how I am
Right.
here. Like
Yes.
everybody asks me, they say,
Mhm.
"Steve, why are you so dressed up?" I am not dressed up. This is casual,
Yes.
And that's why a lot of people when they go out with me, they try to step their, I'm not gonna say step their game up, but they try to ask me, "What you wearing, Steve?" And I was like, "Oh no, just something." Like we went to one of my friends' restaurant. I don't know if you heard of Chef Kev, but Pangea.
Hmm.
We just went over there to have a drink, and I said, "Okay," and they said, "Well, Steven, don't get all over this house." So I threw on like one of my monogram silk sets. They almost like pajamas, but I don't know if
Uh-huh.
it's a two piece. And then I threw on just one of my big collar trench coats and threw it on and walked in. And it was like, here he go. Here he
But for you, it's easy. It's
Right. I mean,
easy. It's
and I
it's
just threw that on,
comfortable.
and it was so comfortable. It was like
Yes.
I felt real good, and and people, of course, in the restaurant they admired. They were taking pictures, and and again, that is the Stephen Godot client. I want you to go in the room and command attention, but not on attention, not on purpose. I
Hmm.
don't never want anybody to say, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that." I never. I just want you to have that organically, like you just walk in a room and you just own the room when you're wearing the brand.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I grew up the same way. Everybody thinks I'm overdressed or that I'm
Yeah.
gonna be overdressed, and I said, like I never saw my dad in jeans until maybe 10 years ago. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it was kind of the same thing growing up, where we just you
It's just
you
natural.
make sure you were presentable, right?
Right. Yeah. Always organic. Always organic. Yeah.
Right. Well, I am so excited to see the show and to see everything that's going to come out of it. I would love to maybe do a catch up with you kind of later in the year to kind of see uh how you're pushing forward
Yeah.
towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And
I have a lot of things going right now. Of course,
yes.
shout out to J3 by Willie Johnson. That's like I call him my fashion godfather.
Hmm.
I think he's really one of the ones that put me on in Dallas.
Yes.
He really looks out for people of color in the industry, and make
Yes.
sure that they're good and get the recognition they need. And he's done a lot. He's helping me a lot with the show. He's producing the show, and he's been wonderful. He's been doing the creative direction, he sees the vision that the Stephen Goudeau brand is, and that's what I really
Yes.
admire.
Yes, he is the godfather up in here. He's did the same for me when I came in 2015 and Katrina Henderson.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
and
all
that's
they
my fashion
really
godmother.
are they
Yeah.
really
Well, guess
are
what?
the
Even
heartbeat.
even when I don't hear from Katrina and like say Maison Nigga though, like I haven't even heard from her right now. But guess what? She go pop right on up. Hey, what do you need?
Yes.
I'm here. And that's what I love about her. I love about her. I love about her.
Yes, yeah, yeah, they are the heartbeat for sure.
Yeah.
So we will be shouting them out. Thank
Yes.
you.
Katrina Willie. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We're excited to share kind of your background, how you work with everybody, and for Fashion Group. And also, thank you for being a big supporter of ours from the very beginning.
Oh, no
You know, there
problem.
was no questions asked. You said, I'm going to be a supporter, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and like
So,
anything you guys need, just let me know. We gotta sit together. I'm just looking, taking over, not taking over again, take that back. I'm not trying to take over Dallas, but I really want our voices to be heard out here in
yes.
Dallas, people of color. Like we have a very I think we have a lot of creative people. We have a lot of people who are just driven. And I
Hmm.
think, our voices need to be heard and put out there. So any way I can help, just let me know. And the Stephen Godot team, we're here.
Yes. Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
and I do want to shout out. I have on camouflage pants today, and I had on my camouflage jacket with the shirt, and it was oversized camouflage. But so we see each other.
Yes. Yes. So, I said, I'm fighting this cold today.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Well, thank you, Erica. And
Yes. Yes,
anything else?
and good luck on Saturday. I know you don't need it, but I'm so excited to see the whole show unfold. So,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
all right, well, we'll talk soon.
All
Take
right, talk
care.
to you later. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.